The roads out of Kingsville were packed. Cars weren't moving. People had left their homes in a hurry, hoping to outrun something no one fully understood. Ray, Claire, and their daughter Zoe sat quietly inside their vehicle, surrounded by the crowd. Military trucks had set up a blockade ahead. Bright yellow signs warned, "Quarantine zone. Do not proceed." They weren't the only ones trying to escape. Hundreds of others were stuck just like them, boxed in with no answers and no way forward. Tensions were high, but there was nowhere to go. Later that same day, something changed. A loud, deep rumble came from above. 2 fighter jets flew over the town, low and fast. Within seconds, the sky turned orange. Bombs hit the town square and nearby neighborhoods. Thick black smoke began to rise. Jets were coming toward them. Zoe, Claire, Ray, and everyone else looked up and panicked. People started screaming and running. Claire saw a tall metal tower behind. At the bottom of it was a fallout bunker. "There, behind the tower," she shouted. They ran through the crowd as more jets flew over. Bombs started falling behind them, shaking the ground. They didn't stop until they reached the tower and saw the shelter. There, tucked behind a warehouse, was an old fallout shelter. It looked forgotten, but the metal hatch was still intact. They climbed down into the darkness. As they descended the narrow ladder, Claire scraped her hand on a rusty iron bracket. She winced, wiped the blood away, and kept moving. But when she checked it later, the wound didn't look normal. The skin around it had darkened, and her blood looked thick, almost black. That's when they realized it wasn't just the bombs. The virus was in the air. They had already been exposed. From that point forward, the shelter became their only world. Inside, they tried to build a routine. The space was small. They had just enough supplies to survive if they rationed carefully. Ray set the rules. Stay calm, stay quiet, never leave. Every sound had to be controlled. Every move mattered. The outside world was no longer safe. Zoe kept herself busy. She had toys, paper, and some books. She made a periscope using spare parts and an old mirror, just to see what was happening on the surface without opening the hatch. Sometimes, she said she heard things. Breathing, not human, not quite machine. Just low, steady breathing sounds near the walls. One night, Zoe woke up from a nightmare. She said the breathers were outside. Ray reassured her, but they all knew that the shelter hadn't gone unnoticed. The breathers had come close before. Days blurred together. Food was running low. One evening, while eating a small dinner, they noticed something strange. Some of their food was missing. Cans had been opened, small bite marks left behind. They had a rat. They searched for it. During the chase, Ray accidentally knocked over a small lamp. It shattered. The flames spread to a wooden table. Claire threw a blanket over it, putting it out, but the smoke was already rising, drifting up into the air duct above. Around the hatch, ash had settled. Their position was exposed. The smoke trail had given them away. Ray and Claire grabbed supplies and went above ground to clean up the area. Zoe stayed behind, watching them through the periscope. That's when she saw something. A tall figure, moving slowly in the distance. She couldn't tell what it was, but it wasn't normal. She didn't hesitate. Breaking the most important rule, Zoe climbed up to the surface to warn her parents. She found them near the edge of the woods. They all looked back at the clearing. The figure was coming. They ran for the hatch and climbed down just in time. But it wasn't over. Something had followed them. Back inside, they stayed completely silent. Every step was careful. Every breath was shallow. Then a soft click. Zoe's doll, Olive, had gotten stuck on a pipe, twisted and activated. The doll began to play music. That sound echoed through the vents. A moment later, the hatch above slammed open. The breathers were inside. Ray blocked the entrance while Claire and Zoe squeezed into the narrow air duct. Claire and Zoe kept crawling, then climbed out through a maintenance tunnel. As they crawled forward, Zoe looked back, just in time to see blood splatter behind her. Ray was gone. They ran until they reached the same highway where the CDC had once blocked them. Now it was silent. The wind blew through empty cars. The road was cracked and broken. A helicopter hovered above them. Then a net fired from the sky. They were caught. Soldiers in black armor surrounded them. The soldiers moved quickly, testing Claire and Zoe's blood. No one said a word. Then one soldier raised his rifle. Another joined him. They were preparing to execute them. But before they could pull the trigger, Ray appeared. His skin was pale. His eyes were bloodshot. Black veins spread across his face. He didn't speak. He attacked. Ray moved with speed and strength that didn't seem possible. He crushed one soldier, broke another's arm, and slammed a third into the ground. But the others opened fire. Bullets hit him in the chest and legs. He fell. Claire broke loose from the net. Something inside her shifted. Her body changed. She lunged at the remaining soldiers. Two were killed instantly. One managed to shoot her in the side. He aimed his weapon again, ready to fire. Then Zoe stepped forward. She wasn't the same girl anymore. She grabbed the soldier and tore the breathing mask from his face. He inhaled, then dropped to the ground, choking. Zoe turned toward Claire. For a moment, she looked like she might attack. But Claire spoke one sentence, "Keep calm." Zoe froze. She blinked slowly, then stepped back. The two of them knelt beside Ray. He was still breathing, but only barely. He looked at them one last time. Then he stopped moving. In the distance, the helicopter began to return. Claire and Zoe ran. Eventually, they found a sewer access and climbed down into the darkness. They followed the tunnel until they heard footsteps approaching. Out of the shadows came a boy. It was Joe, Zoe's neighbor from Kingsville. He had survived, and he wasn't alone. He led them deeper underground to a group of others who looked just like them. Infected, changed, but alive. Zoe looked up. "Day 302, she said. Sunlight streamed through the cracks in the ceiling. Claire looked at the same light and replied, "Not days. That's what Ray used to say. Miracles." And then they kept walking.